In this video, we'll be looking at some Half-Life themed mods for classic Doom. Apart from one or two, all of these were sent over to me through a friend, so I can't really link you to their official downloads, but I think you can easily find them if you Google them. For those I downloaded myself, you can find the link for them in the description. So let's get started. I'll start off with the very recent mod that I made a video for a few months ago called Lambda. Lambda is a weapon mod for Doom. Basically, it replaces the Doom guy's arsenal with that of Gordon Freeman's, and to some extent, Adrian Shepard's. Now this isn't a simple reskin or anything like that. It's one of the most faithful porting of weapons I've seen in a mod. Every single weapon feels exactly like its original counterpart. The movement, the animation, the overall feel of the weapons are just awesome. You can see some view model clipping at the bottom, but that's mainly because I was playing at 120 FOV without realizing it. They look fine on a normal FOV. So if you're in the mood to spice up your classic Doom playthrough, try out this weapon mod. Strangely enough, the mix of 3D weapon models with the 2D enemy sprites is actually a pretty good combination. It does feel a little cursed at sometimes, but when you're in the heat of the moment, it's actually pretty awesome. The cherry on top is of course the addition of the HEV and Half-Life related sound effects.
Minor lacerations detected.
Next up is a demo for the mod Half-Life Another Story. This is a total conversion mod where you play as a HECU soldier in Black Mesa. Visually, I have to say this mod looks absolutely stunning. The textures, the lighting, and the overall mood of it all is just great. In terms of its layout, you'll notice some familiar places from Half-Life or Opposing Force, but other times, the layout might feel like you're running inside a maze or something. I only found the pistol in my run, but I did find the sounds and the gameplay to be enjoyable, especially the whole pixelated aesthetic of the weapon model. But the one thing I wish this mod would fix in a future update is the absolutely crazy head bob and the camera movements. I don't know how to explain the camera, but it feels like the camera is very stiff but also smooth at the same time. Coupled with the very exaggerated head bob, it starts to give motion sickness. That one issue aside, I think this is a fantastic mod that has a lot of potential. However, I haven't seen any new updates on this for a while, so I can't say if the mod is in development or not anymore. Next up are two mods, Paranoid and its expansion, Paranoic. These two are very well made mods that show that the mod author or authors put in a lot of effort into the whole thing. You don't play as Gordon in this, but I think as some sort of spy in Black Mesa. In any case, it starts off from the Sector C labs that looks very well mapped, but we drift off from the usual route and go somewhere else where we find a HEV suit, and right then, the resonance cascade happens. We get teleported around and then we go back into the lab. While the visual design of the mod is very well made, I feel like the layout would have been much better. The appearance of the places you go through do look like they're right out of Half-Life, but I wish they would be easier to traverse. Most of the time I was just scratching my head thinking, where the hell do I go? Most if not all of the doors you come across just end up locked, and I swear I had no idea where to go next. But if I did figure it out, I just came across another locked gate or door. Unfortunately, the same issue carries over into the expansion, Paranoic. While visually it does have great looking maps, the layout of them are either bland or confusing. Nevertheless, the mod is fun to a certain extent and I would highly suggest you to check it out. There's even a Zen Chapter 2, alongside a bonus endurance run sort of chapter with Doom monsters. Next up is this Doom mod that someone made all the way back in 1999. For the time, I feel like it's a very great effort at making a Half-Life themed mod for Doom, given how modders at the time didn't exactly have the tools or resources to make mod easily like today. But apart from the Half-Life textures, the gameplay is fairly basic with easy enough monster encounters and a not so interesting map layout. It's fun and quirky, but after a while it loses its charm and then you're just running around the same looking places trying to figure out what to do. Next up is this strange mod called Paranoia, not to be confused with Paranoid that I just talked about. It starts off from the usual entryway map from Doom 2 with Half-Life textures plastered in very strange places, and with HECU soldiers replacing the monsters. But then map 2 is something different. It's like a prison or something where you can see a green HEV Gordon and a G-Man in some of the cells. The mod is very janky, especially if you look at the weapon models and the enemy sprites, but the mapping is okay for the most part. The maps aren't anything special, and like most average mods, they lose their charm after a few minutes. I feel like this came out in the early 2000s or something, but I don't exactly know. This one looks like another late 90s Doom mod based on Half-Life. This is one of those infamous mods that I often used to see on forums, blogs, and niche websites related to Doom. I like the HUD and how Gordon looks around like Doom Guy, but the sprites, yeah, they're weird. It feels like they're from a GBA game or something. And I love how Gordon came into Sector C labs wearing the HEV suit already and packing a pistol. And even though the mod looks very janky, I seem to have some sort of odd affinity to it, especially because of its all-bright sort of late 90s feel. Surprisingly, it even has a teleporting sequence in it too. Also, giant head crabs. In terms of maps, it repeats the Sector C labs twice after the incident and then switches over to the default Doom 2 maps with all the textures messed up. So if you want to play Doom 2 with this strange texture configuration, I guess this is the way to go. Lastly, here's a map someone made for Doom, which is basically a reimagining of a TNT evolution map mixed in with residue processing. This is related to Half-Life only in terms of its layout, as the map uses default textures and resources, but I gotta say, the layout is actually very well made and easy to navigate, something that most mods on the list didn't get quite right. This feels like a proper classic Doom experience that you'd expect from John Romero or something. But yeah, like always, I really like when modders mix in two games or port over something to an entirely different engine. There might be more Half-Life VODs out there for Doom, but these were some that a friend of mine sent over. Let me know in the comments if you know of any that I might have missed. Thanks for watching, and a big thanks to these benefactors for supporting the channel: Shepard, TTG, Robocop, Noel, Nobody Important, Franco Sanlehi, Cheemsboger, Justin Imbergriff, Taiwanesium, Unusual, Tedesor, Otakon Nachos, T-Boy301, Lambdre, Decoder Mapping, Skyclad, Roadkill, Quiltman, Unknowns98, Walter, Taylor, Hobgobbies, NoClick, Geode, Fisher Grice, Hawkasalt, Mistress Paban, Jelen, A Normal Street Lamp, TRR Droid, and Bipolet. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.